I'm Peter Bishop. I presently have an imprint with a small publisher, Ventura Press, and we're publishing 3 books a year. Um, that's a very small operation in one way, but I'm intending to make it a huge global operation,
Oh,
which because what I used to do from 1994 to 2010 was I was creative director at Varuna, and as creative director of Varuna, there were 5 writers each each week. So I had new groups at Varuna coming, and writers would come, and then they'd come again sometime later, and I would watch them go. So I got very used to the idea of long-term support. And over the last year, for example, there have been about 15 books that have been launched that I was working on 10 years ago with the writer.
oh, how
So
exciting.
it's long-term support
Yeah.
that writers don't often get. And so I wanted to create a system, which I think I've succeeded in doing, though it's not happening just yet, of where writers, without paying a cost, have that long-term support and have many opportunities coming from that. So I'm working on bringing everything together. I'm not
Yeah.
working for other people, uh, other publishers. I'm not working against other publishers or in any sort of competition. I will be working with all the publishers, and this has been a fantastic event to sort of meet them all and talk to them all.
Oh, that's great. I mean, and I'm excited to see how this progression goes because Varuna has always played such a supportive mentoring role, for writers in Australia. Do you see that now your role with the imprint that's allowing you to continue as a sort of support?
Yes, well, it is really, and it's also using. It'll be through an organisation that will be called Peter Bishop and Friends, and basically the friends are those writers who, so to speak, grew up with me, and understand how a book comes together. And they will be wonderful mentors for other people who are going through this process. And I think the fundamental thing we have to say that writers never want to hear is that it takes 10 years to write a book. It doesn't always, but so often, writers would come to Varuna and say, oh, I'll have this ready by Christmas. And 10 years later, the book comes out. And I sort of say, you remember well, I have to believe it's going to come out by Christmas, but
yeah, definitely.
It's a long-term process, and that's what makes it wonderful. It means that you've got that 10 years of growth in a book. It's just there's fantastic books that come out.
And do you think that process of growth is important for writers as well in terms of how their thinking might change?
Absolutely, it sort of changes. They completely. Almost all of them had a workable draft at a certain point, which could have been published, and it wasn't published for one reason or another, and they are very glad that it wasn't, because the process is a long one, mature. There's just so many books they come out. When anyone else sees them, they see a book coming out by a writer, and I see 10 years of growth and development that has finally got this wonderful book. So I'm very excited about the future, and just being I sort of rather like the word advocate and curator. I like that word too. I want to be an advocate for writers because it's a terrible process. You come to the end of writing and you send it off to a publisher, and sometimes you hear something that doesn't fit our list or something, and I sort of think, as a publisher, oh, you can only publish a certain number of books, and you're going to get hundreds of books. And so you have to find a way of nurturing books so that they will achieve their potential in their own time. And I think that will be a big thing to do.
So do you have any advice for writers who are starting out in that process?
There's one bit of advice that I really have is one, don't think about it. I mean, you know, when you're sort of young, you shouldn't think, oh, I want to get married. How am I going to succeed in getting married? You think first, I have to have a relationship that is, it might go on to a marriage, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is a relationship. And with writing, it's that way too. You're writing something. Don't think about the future of what the writing is going to be. Think about what it is at this particular moment. And I think that's very important for writers. We're here as publishers, and people will pitch to us. And I'm probably not going to say to people, come back in 5 years, but you know, basically I would say to everyone, this isn't the end of the process. If you don't get published today, that doesn't mean you're no good.
Yeah.
It means you're getting somewhere, you're moving on. If you want to write, you're doing something that is, in my view, the most important thing a human being can do. It's what makes us most human, is the fact that we can really reflect on who we are and what we are. And we're all unique. So the way you do it is going to be completely different from everybody else. And there's a moment when your voice is there and you throw back your head and you sing your song. And that is a wonderful moment. And so many writers, you know, who have been around for so long have had that moment.
Yeah.
And I sort of think, oh, it's such a celebration when that
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.